Welcome back, everybody, to the show today. What a show we have. Before getting into this story, which is a big one, our adversaries uniting in opposition to us in a terrifying fashion, and a little hot mic moment that I want to play for you. If you didn't catch yesterday's show, I discussed a little bit and then more on the bonus show, my experience getting back from Ukraine. So we're documenting. We have a little, and then over the coming days, and Cole's working on a big, extensive piece on my experience there that was so profound and terrifying and inspiring on the ground, even at the front lines in Ukraine. But the way back was a complete and total nightmare. And that included my bag getting lost. But it came home, finally. And so our equipment is all back to normal. Yes. The producers, you can see them again. There they are. The best in the biz. And with that being said, we're back to regular order, which feels really good. Let me play this for you. You had this big celebration day parade in China that Xi Jinping invited other world leaders to. And this was coined and seen by many as a terrifying rebuke of Trump. And we'll talk about that more. But here, scary concept. You have through their translators a hot mic moment catching Putin talking to Xi about how with modern technology, we could live forever or for hundreds of years. So it's like with the development of biotechnology, human organs can be continuously transplanted and people can live younger and younger and even achieve immortality. Predictions are this century there's a chance of also living to 150. So people saw this as them hoping for that from themselves, which honestly is a terrifying prospect, especially in countries like Russia, North Korea, China, in a different but severe way, where the regard for mass swaths of their own people is so disgusting. The disregard. And they'll get all of the best. These leaders will get all of the best advancements of science, and then the time that an authoritarian regime can rule will be lengthened, which is scary. Now, you saw in this video, and then we'll get to the Trump of it all pretty soon here, but Kim Jong Un, okay, what is his deal? You know, have you ever thought that? Like, why is he always taken so seriously? Okay, he has nukes, sort of, maybe. But like, he's totally the third wheel here. So Xi's hosting, you have the murderous dictator to his right, Putin, who is being honored as he's engaging in and being supported by some of these folks. What I just witnessed, which is one of the most horrific things humans can possibly do, the mass slaughtering of other humans just for his ambition, Putin's ambition. But both of those, the two leaders to the left, they are significant on the world stage. Then Kim Jong Un, I looked up the GDP of North Korea. It's like 26 billion. We're up to 27 trillion in the United States. 26 billion is like half that of Wyoming. That's the size of North Korea, which tells you what this type of ruling gets you. And it's so tragic. And he's just kind of like, oh yeah, guys, we're going to live forever. Hey, not you. Have you seen your body? Not you. I don't know what organ transplants can do for that, Kim Jong-un. You authoritarian bowling ball. Okay, so anyways, I will show you images of this parade that was held, and you did have Narendra Modi, the Indian prime minister, someone who has a better relationship with the United States than some of these other leaders. He was not at the parade, but he was there before, shaking hands with Putin. And so one of the big fears here is that Trump's crazy behavior on the world stage is pushing countries like India further into the hands of Russia or China. And it's not all because of Trump. There's a broader thing India's doing and has been doing. But in a time like this where they're showing a level of support for one another, our adversaries, to have a U.S. president who is alienating our allies, so our alliance, our partnerships are weaker than they've been in a really long time, while our adversaries are trying to strengthen their relationships to undermine us. So those are a few different things we'll be going through. But I haven't seen Kim Jong Un this jubilant with Putin since this footage. Podcast listeners, this is when they went for a little drive in North Korea, and they were just having the time of their life. Yeah. Okay, Kim Jong Un gonna live till 150. Sure. And that's not body shaming. That's Kim Jong Un shaming. I think that's fair, right? You understand that. Then you have this clip where Putin and Kim Jong Un do a little like, no, you go in this door. No, you go in this door. Ugh. No, you. No, you. No, you. Fine, I'll do it. But see, we should expect that our adversaries, that authoritarian regimes and their leaders like these, North Korea and Russia, would hop into a car together. But Trump did the exact same thing with Putin. And just remember that. And it still didn't work. It's not like Putin went, oh, let me stop then. Or, oh, maybe I'm not going to keep being buddy-buddy with whoever. No. As Trump is letting Putin play him because he has this completely delusional belief about Putin's friendship with him as Putin's engaging in this murderous invasion, still behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, on the scene, on the stage, whatever the proper phrase is, you have these leaders working harder than ever to ally with each other against the United States. Here's some CNN reporting about this.
United against Trump. Leaders from some of the world's largest powers right now joining forces to take on the White House. And the images are striking. Russia's Vladimir Putin shaking hands and laughing with Chinese President Xi Jinping and India's Prime Minister Modi. At one point, even holding hands with Modi. The show of unity in China clearly designed to send a message to Trump and what she calls his, quote, bullying practices.
We do have breaking news into CNN that after they left this meeting holding hands, Modi gave Putin a blowjob. Back to you, Sarah.
The trio is notably about to be joined by another U.S. adversary, North Korea's Kim Jong Un. This is a picture of him in his bulletproof train, reportedly just now crossing into China. Kim steps onto the world stage fresh off a tour of his country's newest missile factory, one that North Korea claims is a cornerstone of its military expansion.
Yeah. If the amount of money that Kim Jong Un has spent on missiles and military equipment and observations of his military on his people, we'd be in a very different situation. Remember that contrast between South Korean economic performance and general prosperity versus North Korean. Tells you what this type of dictatorship can do to its people and why this fight in support of the principles America's supposed to stand for, in support of Ukraine's defense of themselves against a different authoritarian regime that's being supported by Kim Jong Un very directly, giving troops and equipment, is so critically important. It matters for the safety and stability and well-being of citizens across the world, including in the United States. But I'll play more of this. Sorry, this is taking so long. I should have so many. We're going to get to the Trump part and Trump's response. But I'm so sick of this. The parade too. The big, and I feel like every Tuesday Kim Jong-un goes and inspects his missiles. Maybe because Kim Jong-un's little missile's tiny. So he has to make big missiles to look at. That's right, Kim Jong Un. You have a little missile. And every single week, it's like, well, this is a big news story. Kim Jong Un inspected his newest missiles. What? Shut up. Your economy's $26 billion. We spend that on like Marjorie Taylor Greene's security. What are you doing? Wyoming has like 3 people in a tree and it's outperforming you economically. Focus on that. The things that this is what was driving me crazy in Ukraine, looking at the mass death and destruction that is all because of a guy's grip on power and what these deranged people do to hold on to power and to expand their power with no regard for the people they're supposed to be representing. It's such a disturbing phenomenon, especially when it's Kim Jong Un. Putin on the world stage is far more destructive, obviously. But Kim Jong Un, how is that guy a dictator? All right, let's see. Inspecting his missiles again. We get it. You have missiles. Hey, guess what? I hate to sound like Trump. We got more, brother. And the other thing that bothers me is it's like, oh, yeah, look at this. We got more missiles. There's the point of it failing their citizens. And also, the stuff those missiles do. That's why I'm a little bit sick of the footage I'll get to in a second of the big parade that Xi held with these other leaders. Where it's just like tanks rolling by and missiles and all this stuff and bombs. And those are representations of the death they bring upon people. Can we stop fetishizing the deliverers of death?
Military that, according to Ukraine, is on the verge of sending up to 30,000 troops to Eastern Europe to provide Russia with more manpower. And as Trump watches these world leaders gather without him, he is lashing out at one.
And I'll read you that post myself. He says, the big question to be answered is whether or not President Xi of China, oh, actually, I don't think this is the post, but let's read it, will mention the massive amount of support and blood that the United States of America gave to China in order to help it to secure its freedom from a very unfriendly foreign invader. Many Americans died in China's quest for victory and glory. I hope that they are rightfully honored and remembered for their bravery and sacrifice. May President Xi and the wonderful people of China have a great and lasting day of celebration. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong Un as you conspire against the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump. There's truth to them conspiring against the U.S. and this being a big, bold presentation of their alliance. Don't get it twisted. That has a massive priority in undermining the world order where the U.S. is at the center of it. They want to establish one where they're at the center of it, where they are the core of the global economic military machine that people rely on like we've been for so long. And as that's happening, as the United States should be shoring up our alliances to make sure that doesn't happen, and their type of ideologies don't become the center of the global world order, Trump is spitting in the face of all of the allies who actually share our values. So then what was the post that he's talking about?
India's Narendra Modi, writing online that America's relationship with India has been a, quote, totally one-sided disaster. And yet the one leader who is evading Trump's ire is Vladimir Putin, a man whose military launched a round of overnight attacks on Ukraine yet again.
Right. And I've showed you on the ground what that really means. It's not just a headline. It's not just a story. It is shocking to the conscience. So then you have headlines, CNN, Xi, Putin, and Kim staying united at Beijing military parade and historic show of authoritarian strength. And again, Modi being there, someone that isn't the same as these three, and plays it kind of in the middle, but has had a better relationship with the United States as Trump is terrifying him into oblivion, was, I think, a more frightening part of it. Okay, these three love each other all the time, whatever. And the only thing that unites them, a little bit ideological, but not really. They hate each other at their core. But it is their hate of the West, the U.S. center world order. But that Modi piece of it's frightening, and he left, I guess, for this parade. And then you have all the images from it. While we continue through this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show. And then there's so much more in this segment. Then the join button. You can click that to get the members-only bonus show. Yesterday, I told some just fun anecdotes because there's so much serious stuff we're going to be covering about my trip to Ukraine. This was just more of the fun anecdotes of some of the trip. on the bonus show join button to get that. And then another way to support the show, drinkpep.com, my energy drink. My brothers and I worked on it, crafted it, and made it for you and people who care about their health, but also want an energy boost. Drinkpep.com, order it directed to your doorstep.
Person attending this military parade that includes those from Russia, North Korea, and Iran. In a speech just a few moments ago, President Xi warned that the world needs to choose, as he put it, quote, between peace and war. I want to get straight to CNN's Ivan Watson, who is live on the ground in Beijing. And obviously, Ivan, we're watching this play out and just seeing.
Yeah, so that part, the peace and the war. Someone standing with him who's the war guy. But that's what they're trying to broadcast. There are a lot of countries that aren't clearly on our side or theirs. That as Trump is showing what a relationship with the United States gets you, are being pushed in their direction. And that is geopolitically, economically, going to be destructive to us. And I saw someone comment, I think on one of our videos, that we really won't know for some time. But the fair estimation you can make is that decades of U.S. relationships that have been fostered and U.S. global dominance is being undermined in mere months and will take years to recover, if ever. Then India was the economic alternative to China. That's another part of this. Trump ended that with his India-U.S. economic war. And then let's just look at some of these videos. What are we doing, Xi? What are we doing? So podcast listeners, it's Xi driving on a car and inspecting his mini missiles and military equipment during this parade. I'm so sick of the parades. In the United States, if we do a parade to honor troops, I love it. I love it. But the sort of look at how big our bombs are thing, for the reason I referenced earlier, it's just, and Trump tried to mirror it. And honestly, as much as I love our troops and didn't want them to have to be a part of that, the logistics of that military parade didn't go particularly well. But this is what Trump was trying to copy. And what was that? What is this motion? The hell is going on? What the hell's going on with China? Did you not learn, Mr. Chinese soldier? Ever since Elon did his thing, you got to be really careful with where your hands go. Okay? Then a lot of this. Now, gosh, it's so annoying because it's good. That's the annoying part. How do you march like that? How do you know when to put your leg up? Okay. So then some people posted this clip. That was from Trump's military parade. And again, a military parade, and I've been witness to really incredible U.S. military parades. Both my brothers in the military, they would do these things. It's awesome, and I love it. And the troops, yes, but like the look at how many bombs we have thing, I'm a little sick of, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to set myself up for hypocrisy. Whenever I'm at a football game and the planes fly over, does a little tinkle tinkle go in my pants? Yeah, it does. And I do like that. I just have to be honest. I do like it. And the American military is something we should be proud of. But Trump trying to copy these shows of force that often are at the detriment of the citizens in those countries is irritating. And meanwhile, Trump's actions, it's not just alienating our allies, emboldening our adversaries, pushing them into stronger relationships with each other, but it's also bad for our economy.
Just in, new data painting an increasingly worrisome picture for the U.S. jobs market. For the first time in years, job seekers are outnumbering job openings. CNN's Vanessa Yurkevich is following this story for us. What are you seeing here?
Yeah, so that shows up, as you can see here. Stephen Ratner saying in July, the surplus of job openings to unemployed job seekers closed for the first time in 4 years. 4 years. It's an interesting time frame. Okay, so you can see it there. That's another example of the cracks in our economy. And we are there now. Do you know where we went from? This This was a headline in January of 2024. The U.S. is winning the world economic war. Oh, so quickly have we gone from this under someone else.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
Who did that sometimes, but whatever. Whoever was doing the stuff made this happen. Envy of the world. And we still are. Just to be clear, Trump can be messing up a lot of stuff, and we're also America-based, right? Whatever. However you want to say it. Y'all know. You can take the patriotism out of Trump, but you can't take it out of me. Whatever. And he's also hindering what we could be and what our economy could be, and that's a frightening prospect. Then about this meeting after, I guess this was Kim Jong Un and either Xi or Putin sat down for a meeting, there was footage of Kim Jong Un's aides wiping down really thoroughly the chair that Kim Jong Un had just sat in, which reminded me of the story of when Putin went to the Alaska summit with Trump. They literally apparently brought a suitcase for Putin's poo-poo, and they, put his poop in the suitcase so that it couldn't be taken and examined. And a similar thing's being done here, where no signs of Kim Jong Un's DNA, I guess, is that's what is that? Because U.S. presidents don't do that. What is it that's so valuable you could find? Okay, you could learn about their genetic information or their DNA. You could figure out if they have good genes like Sydney Sweeney. I don't know. But what does that do? Then you would know their health problems? Yeah, we know Kim Jong Un has health problems. But then what was bothering me is back during the Biden era, when Biden would be supportive of Ukraine, Fox News, right-wingers, commentators on the right would say Biden is pushing Russia by not being friends with Putin into the hands of China or other adversaries. I saw Iran too was represented at this thing, and Cuba, I think, there too. And they would say Biden shouldn't support Ukraine, despite Ukraine being the one way more aligned with our interests and with our principles than Russia. Because then you're going to alienate Russia into relationships with our other adversaries, as if Russia isn't like the adversary. They're kind of the one we don't want people being friends with, not the other way around. But whatever. Yeah, in a world where Russia changed a lot, would it be great to have a really cushy relationship with them? Of course. But in the world that we're in, it makes sense why we're not. And principles matter. And as we see with Putin, when he acts like that's what he wants, he just uses it to undermine. And it's not just Trump who fell for it. He's falling for it more in the face of obvious issues with his logic. But previous Western leaders, a theme is Putin has played them. So Trump should have learned from that. But he uses let's be friends to then undermine. But the argument would be like this from Fox News, a video. We don't have to watch it, but it was this being argued. I just quickly pulled it up. Trump era official warns Biden's weakness brought Russia and China closer. So they would run stories usually because of Biden supporting Ukraine, and they would say, see, Biden doing this and Biden being so weak that Russia invaded, blah, 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 which I've debunked 100 times. That pushed Russia into the hands of China. And now you have this unprecedented show of unification between these leaders. And zip, those same voices don't seem to care one bit. And some of them say it's still Biden's fault.
China was celebrating. They're having this parade in Tiananmen Square featuring a display of advanced
what was it? What square?
Equipment. And they invited Putin and they invited Kim Jong Un in attendance. So what message are they trying to send, and what is the administration's response?
Well, unfortunately, the weakness of the previous administration has driven Russia and China closer together. That was a terrible development of a lack of American leadership and a lack of American strength. And
who's president right now for 7 months? They're going to just keep blaming Biden until the end of time for everything. MSNBC op-ed, Trump pushes India closer to China and Russia, adding to his diplomatic failures over the course of the year. As Donald Trump took steps to alienate and offend the United States' longtime allies, many of those countries have forge stronger partnerships with each other. The more the president shredded our alliance, the more countries such as Britain, France, Canada, and Japan found it easy to leave us behind with new economic and security agreements. True. So it's also our allies, our clear allies, who are not looking to China necessarily, but forging strong relationships that are more exclusionary of the United States. But the White House isn't just pushing away our traditional friends. The Republican administration is also alienating our would-be allies, leading them into the arms of some of the United States' most important rivals and adversaries. Take India, for example, and then it goes through what we've talked about already. Trump was asked, is this concerning to you? And he said, nah.
Mr. President, are you concerned about an axis?
Who is this interviewer?
Because when you own as many libs as I do, you got to put a place to put them all.
Mr. President, are you concerned about an axis forming against the United States with China and Russia? Obviously, there were some meetings among them and other countries over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not concerned at all. No, I'm not at all. We have the strongest military in the world by far.
True. Yes. What about the fact that the America we know today, for the last while, was in large part what it is because of a post-World War II world order that we established and we were at the center of, that provided economic, geopolitical, military alliances and organizations that strengthen global stability. One of the reasons that I am patriotic. Global stability protected new democracies and sought to engage in mutually beneficial economic relationships. And that if you are simultaneously punching in the face the members of those partnerships with us, while our adversaries are coming together more than ever before, that should be of concern to you, even if we have an extremely powerful military. Everything isn't just how powerful in comparison our military is, like to Kim Jong Un's. I'm sure, other than the nuke question, what does Trump say the nukes are?
The N-word.
Yeah. You can't say the N-word. Nuclear. I'm sure we have a much stronger military than that. But that's not the only question at issue here.
As the co-chair of the U.S.-India caucus, I want to sound
This is Ro Khanna, by the way.
5-alarm fire on what Donald Trump is doing to destroy the U.S.-India partnership. He's undermining 30 years of bipartisan work to strengthen the U.S.-India alliance. He has imposed a 50% tariff on India, higher than any other country other than Brazil. It's a higher tariff than the tariff on China. It is hurting India's exports of leather and textiles into the United States, and it's hurting American manufacturers and our exports into India. It is also driving India towards China and towards Russia. Now, why is this happening? For very simple reasons. Prime Minister Modi refused to nominate Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. Well, Pakistan did. And India has said that the border dispute with Pakistan is an internal matter, refusing to give Donald Trump credit. We can't allow the ego of Donald Trump to destroy a strategic relationship with India.
Yeah, I don't know if Trump would say that was the only reason. I'm sure he was annoyed by that. You also have this is the main reason that he says, we have such an unfair relationship with them in trading, which he says about everybody, and he doesn't understand trading balances and blah, 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 blah. But the only explanation that he dropped, so that informs a part of my take, was we're going to punish India for their trade with Russia to try to hurt the Russian economy in response to invading Ukraine. And y'all know I'm like, put everything on the table to pressure Russia economically. But that got pulled off. And then he went to just, in general, his irritation with everyone that we're trading with, which has dire consequences, as we're seeing here. Then meanwhile, the European Commission president, Ursula von der Leyen, her plane was hit by a suspected Russian GPS interference, disabled the GPS navigation services at a Bulgarian airport, and forced the European Commission president's plane to land using paper maps. You saw the strikes that hit the UK diplomatic building. I'm blanking on the exact specifics while I was there and what I witnessed in Kyiv. And then this escalation from Russia towards our allies. Trump was asked about it and said, that was funny.
Sunday, the satellite signal of Ursula von der Leyen's plane was alleged.
With Ursula? Well, she had an interesting event. She's a tremendous woman. And so what are you asking me about her?
NATO is concerned about it. I do too, about this.
NATO is concerned about it. Well, nobody knows where it came from, but they did take away her ability to use a phone. You know? Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that could happen to me. I'd be very happy.
That's not what happened. They took away her Wi-Fi. That was funny. No, they tried to make it extremely difficult for the plane to land, taking away the navigation systems. So what's Fox up to? Jaden, can you read it? What does this lower third Chiron say?
Sydney Sweeney featured in new luxury brand ad.
Give me a joke.
This was a something I got from, this is Putin. I got from Ukraine. It's a pin holder. So if I pull this out and stuff starts coming out of this, I'll put it in a briefcase. Share your thoughts on all of that in the comments.